Hello, YouTube. Just waiting for people to turn up. Hello. Just waiting for everyone to turn up before I get going. While we're waiting, I'd love to know where you're from and how old your kids are. Always interested in that. I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. My kids are 28 and 33, and I've got my first grandchild, little girl, due soon. So that's where I'm at. I'm all done with all this stuff. I'm old. I'm past all that stuff. I'm in the grandparent phase. Good morning. Okay, so where are you from and how old are your kids? Kind of helps me when I'm going along with the live. I'm always somewhere every day. I'm doing a live every day somewhere. I just don't know where. But I am from, and then you didn't say anything. Maryland, age 2. Okay, Stamford, Connecticut. My son is 18 months old. Oh, so you're right in the thick of it, all the physical stuff, right? Okay. Chicago, grandson is 3. So you're in my phase, the grandparent phase. Missouri, 27, 5, 2, and 2 months. Wow, 27. Are you 27 or your kids are 27 years old, 5, 2, and 2 months? Could be like a second family situation. I'm from India and my son is 2. I'm from India and my son is 2. Welcome. I've got clients all over the world, and I've learned more about the world through my business than I ever did traveling, because you learn about the culture a lot more, because people just, they just sort of tell you everything when you're coaching them. So yeah, it's fascinating. Okay, Dallas, 5 and 9. I got to get to Texas one day. It's always been calling my name. I don't know why. Probably most, I'm thinking, where would I go? I'm a vegan. I was told to go to one of the cities there. Not that I'm pro-vegan. I just thought I might have an easier time finding restaurants in that. Austin, that's it. California, 3 and 4. Oh, that's nice. 33 minutes. I don't know what that means. Pennsylvania. Is that Pennsylvania? 11 years old. Indianapolis, foster kids 1, 2, and 4. Oh, good for you. Excellent. South Africa, my son is 2 years old. Excellent. Oh my goodness. Arizona 2. Okay, let's get going now. I'm reading. I just think we should get going now because I got enough people in the room. Okay, so my name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. And if you go in the link above or wherever the bio is, I'm quite new on Instagram, so I'm not really familiar with it. But if you go in the bio, you'll see the link, and that tells you everything I have to offer in my business. You can get my free behavior board, and which you'll also sign up to the newsletter, so you'll see stuff before other people do. And there's lots of stuff in the newsletters that doesn't turn up anywhere else. So the newsletter, all my mini toddler courses, then my big course, the 5-week How to Get Respect in 5 Weeks. That's the boot camp course. Then the next level up is coaching one-on-one with me. It's done on Zoom, so it doesn't matter where in the world you are. Winnipeg, grandma living with 2-year-old and 3-month-old. Excellent. My mother was from Winnipeg, and she hated it because they were born in she was born in 1922, and they had no heat. And living in Winnipeg with no heat, I mean, they were poverty-stricken, right? So yeah, she had no good memories of Winnipeg. She said, all I remember was being freezing and hungry all the time. Anyway, okay. Okay, so let's get going with your parenting questions. I am new on Instagram, so I'm not real good at scrolling through, but I turn up somewhere on, I do daily lives somewhere, but I'm just sort of getting into Instagram now. So excuse me if I don't get to your question. It's a scrolling issue. I'm doing the best I can. I'm old. It's amazing I'm even on here. I could figure it out. Okay. Oh, I don't let people in my live. I've only done that once. Maybe one day I'll figure it out, but I only did it once. And then someone came in because it was on TikTok, and I have like a big audience on there, and they just wanted my audience. They started talking about their business. It was really awkward. And I hate being rude, but I just said, I'm here to talk about parenting. Delete. So yeah, I have to be very wary about that because I'm here to serve parents, not to serve other people's businesses, right? Anyway. Okay, so parenting questions. I saw there were all ages on here. So age to start potty training. I actually have a course on that, my potty party course, and I recommend 2.5. It might be 2, it might be 3, but 2.5 is a really good age. They can start to comprehend and actually understand, wait a minute, something's happening down there. Maybe I should go sit on a potty. Check out my mini course. It's just potty party. It was funny because my daughter read that course. She actually looked through it and she goes, oh, it's a party. And I said, yeah, I actually had a party for you kids when I potty trained you. I trained my son in 1 day and my daughter in 2 days. No pull-ups, no night diapers, nothing. But I took that porta potty everywhere we went. Okay. I'm going to tell you a funny story. My son had just been potty trained, and he'd already pooped and peed at home. So I thought, great, I'm safe. And I went grocery shopping with them, and I had the potty party, but I left the potty and I left it in the car, which I normally do. I don't bring it into malls and that. So anyway, I was grocery shopping with him, and he says to me, and I'm in the checkout, all my family's groceries for a whole week. I'm in the checkout, and he goes, I have to go poo. And I said, okay, well, just check out. And he goes, I have to go poo now. Now, in Australia, where I raised my kids, the grocery stores are inside malls. Like supermarkets are not, they're not freestanding. They're actually inside shopping centers. So, and I knew the public bathroom was at the other end of the mall. And the lady at the checkout and this other mom just said, we'll pack everything up. Don't worry about it. Just run. I put him under my arm and took off running. I just made it. And I hated putting a little one on a public toilet. I hovered him over top and he pooped. So motherhood, it's just so classy, isn't it? And I went back and it was just a bunch of moms there and they goes, did he poop? Yeah, he did. Yay. And it was hilarious. Okay. Yeah, parenting. Eh? Okay, so your parenting questions. My daughter's 3 years old and she go in kindergarten. I didn't get a question in there. How to deal with toddler who won't sleep alone because of fear and jumps out of bed. Well, I don't know what you consider a toddler. I consider a toddler under the age of 3. 3 and a 4-year-old to me is a preschooler. So anyway, I do have I just came up with my bedtime battles course. You might want to check that out. I don't tend to go into great detail about that on here because it's step by step, but I'll just sort of lay it out, sort of an outline of it. But what you do is they won't sleep alone because of fear and jumps out of bed. I wonder if it truly is fear. I don't know. But what I would do is I'd get one of those sound machines or maybe get the galaxy light, something like that. So it makes their room more like less fearful. Also get them a new cuddle, something to snuggle at night, make their room more friendly. You can sit in there and you read them a book and then you say, good night. Okay, stay in there. Every time they come into your room, you just walk them back into their room and put them back in bed very calmly, quietly. The first time you do it, you say, I said it's bedtime, you stay in bed. The second time you put them back in bed, you say one word. You say bedtime. Every time after that, you don't look at them or talk to them. You'll wear them down. You're bigger than them. You just keep calmly, slowly put them back in bed. They might be kicking and screaming. So long as one body part hits the mattress, that's all you're aiming for. Start to walk away. Don't let them get out the doorway, though, because you don't want it to become a game of chase. You just keep putting them back in there. They'll learn it's safe. They just will. It's just a stage. I'm going to read my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Okay. Just comes in handy here. Okay, these are my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers, which is under the age of 3. You child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Makes your life easier. You set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Again, it makes your life easier, less stuff to put away. When you want to connect with your toddler, you enter their world. You play in their world. You don't take them to the park, sit on a bench and watch them swing. You get on a swing with them. You run around the park with them. You roll down the hill with them. You enter their world. They start to look at you differently. And because you're connecting with them, right? Now, when you're disciplining, it's not about words, talking about feelings and big emotions and self-regulating. That's all garbage. I know it's trendy right now, but it's not for you. I mean, it is for you. It's not for your child. It's to feed the mom. That's where that came from. It just feeds the mom's needs. It has nothing to do with the toddler. So it's all about consistent corrective actions. If you're disciplining a toddler, you pick a battle and you use consistent corrective actions. They learn through physical repetition, not words, okay? That's how you discipline them. Number 5, how to parent toddlers, is don't try and figure them out. They're not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They've got one marble and some tumbleweed in there. They're just forming. If you've only been in the world for 2 years and for the first year you were a potato laying on a mattress, how are you figure-outable? You haven't figured anything out yet yourself. They're just forming. I always call them crazy, but really, they just haven't developed sanity yet. It's my least favorite age, toddlers. Only because they scare the bejeebies out of me when I go out with them. I had to watch them like a hawk. You could never relax when you go to someone's house. Nothing. It's the most physically demanding, and I had a really bad back. But they're cute as a button. But yeah, they are a walking safety hazard. All feet, no brains. Okay, great at home. I loved it at home. It was just when I took them out, and we were out all the time. So, oops. Okay, sorry. I'm new here on Instagram. I've only been on here for a few months, so I'm trying to figure out how to scroll. So if I miss your question, I apologize. It's just because I'm new on Instagram. Okay. Okay. My 2-year-old son has a short temper and gets angry very easily. How can I teach him to control his emotions? You don't teach a 2-year-old how to control their emotions. It's impossible. I've got tons of videos on how you ignore a tantrum. I also have a few mini courses for toddlers. But yeah, you can't teach a 2-year-old how to control their emotions. That is, I know people are selling that out there. It's self-regulating a toddler's emotions. It's garbage. I don't know who does it. I've just been told by this. I can only criticize that because I have no idea who's doing it. I only stay in my lane. I only teach through experience. Never read a book on parenting. I have no idea what anyone else is doing out there. But I know it's really trendy right now to have these mini therapy sessions, regulating their emotions. It's just garbage. That's just been fed to the mothers to make them feel good. You can't regulate a 2-year-old's emotions. If you're a calm leader and every time they have a tantrum, which is when their emotions go nuts, right? You just ignore that. You are modeling calm behavior. You ignore the crazy and you reward the calm. So while they're having a tantrum, you're just filing your nails. Don't look at them or anything. As soon as they're done, oh, you all done? You want to go to the park? They soon learn, okay? But they're going to keep having them. They can't regulate their own emotions yet. They're incapable of that, right? They're all impulse. They're not regular. It's ridiculous. Anyway, I'm up against that in my business. It's really good for my business, by the way, because all that stuff backfires down the road. So I'd rather it not work that way. But anyway, learning so much from you. Excellent. It's just common sense. I'm old. I've been around forever. I've been working with kids for 52 years. You learn a thing or two. Times change, but people don't. It's all the same thing. I always call it my weapon of choice with kids is I'm fun with little kids and I'm funny with teenagers. So I use humor. That is my weapon of choice. And I always bonded with kids. I was really good at bonding with them so that they saw me as a leader, a mentor, someone they looked up to, and they just are never disrespectful to a leader because I give respect to get it. That behavior board teaches you how to do that. You're on that too. That's what makes it work. I've never used a behavior board. It's a teaching tool I invented 17 years ago in this business. It's teaching parents how to be accountable, right? Oh, okay. You're not going to like my answer because I don't really have one, but I'll read it out. My girl's 3 years old and she is quite independent. She weaned herself from the pacifier early, but now she's taken it back. How did she get access to it? How come you have pacifiers in the house? I'm wondering. I feel that she weaned herself early and that she is missing something. I don't get that. That doesn't make any sense to me. No, it's just a habit, something she likes to do. I don't think she's doing it because she's missing. She's somehow deprived in some way. I'm just guessing here. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But my gut reaction is, yeah, it's just a habit. And they were still hanging around. She thought, oh, I remember liking that. But I don't think she's feeling some need with that, if that makes any sense. Just a habit. That's like saying, well, I have to smoke because I'm feeling a need. No, it's just become a habit. There's a difference there. Okay, 5-year-old doesn't want to go to school, cries for me, and says he hates his teacher. He did not attend pre-K. Any tips to redirect his feelings towards school? You don't redirect his feelings towards school so much as you just redirect how you're dealing with it. You lead, they will follow. All of their behavior, 100% past the age of about 3.5, all of their behavior is a direct result of your parenting. So he's 5 years old, doesn't want to go to school. Well, it is October, almost November now. So this would have been going on for weeks, right? Okay, so I would do the dump and run and don't react. Just say, well, you'll get used to it. So whatever, just treat it like it's nothing. And whenever you drop them off, I call it the dump and run. You just do a real quick, bye, I'll see you after school. And you end with when you're going to come back or when you're going to see them next. Okay, I'll see you after school. He will eventually learn. So you're overanalyzing it, I think. Says he hates his teacher, he just doesn't want to be there. You know, the reason why a lot of kids hate school is because at home, they're not used to systems and organization. There's no expectations of them at home. They go to school, they're expected to behave and do some work. And, you know, the more you prepare them for school just by having systems and having an organized home, the easier the transition is into school. My kids slid right into school like it was nothing because they, you know, I had a lot of routines and habits and systems at home. It was no big deal. They just didn't even think about it. So. Also, another reason why kids hate school is because if you're the pleaser parent and you're used to them getting their own way all the time and they go to school and they don't get their way all the time, that's a big part of it. It's a big problem. So teachers tell me all the time. Huge portion of my clients are teachers, principals, and child psychologists. So they tell me what's going on out there all the time. How often do you recommend rotating toys? Does it change with age? I talk about my toy rotation system where you put 95% of their toys away up in boxes, maybe once a week. You do a toy rotation. You don't do it until you say, okay, we're going to do another toy rotation, and you give them an empty box. They have to put all their stuff in there. And then you bring out maybe one box and you say, okay, you can pick a bunch more out of this box. But you control that. That's part of your leadership. You control, say, no, not that box. We're going to be doing this box. And they just learn. They just go along with everything. When you're a really good leader, they get excited by it rather than fighting you and everything. When you're a leader, they just don't argue with you. It just doesn't happen. What else was I going to say about it? Oh, yeah. Do it maybe once a week. I did it with my kids maybe once every 2 or 3 months. They just never asked for anything. Plus, you never put the big stuff away. Like I never put Barbies, Lego, books, nothing cuddly or soothing, like anything, that blanket they like. You don't put that away. So yeah, they always had the big stuff out. But also I used to say, well, sure, you can have the Lego out, but you can't have the Lego spread out all over the living room and then set up the train set or the car racing set. You can only set up one huge toy at a time. So I controlled that. And my kids never said they were bored except once. I've told this story a million times. My son was 5 years older, and he was 5 years old, and he'd just been at a friend's house. And he came home and he said this to me, and he'd never spoken in this snotty tone to me ever. He said to me, I'm bored, in that snotty, spoiled little tone. And I looked at him like this, and he went, never mind. Because I was like, yippee, I love this. I love all this stuff. So anyway, I said, oh, is my precious angel bored? And he goes, no, I was just kidding. Never mind. So I was laughing. And I said, come with mommy. I don't want my precious angel to be bored. I took him in the laundry room, filled up a bucket, and gave him a mop. He was never bored again. Funny thing is, 5 years later, my daughter's 5 years younger. So she was 5. She came home from a friend's, the exact same thing. And my son was right there. He started laughing right away when she said it. I'm bored, in that snotty, disrespectful tone, which I'd never heard before. It wasn't that snotty, but I'd never heard them talk like that to anyone. And same thing. My son loved it. He was laughing. Yeah, don't complain to me about being bored. They had a very full life. Okay. But what they could say, without saying that in that kind of tone, they could have said, I can't think of anything to do. Can you help me? It was the tone of voice I didn't like. So if they just said, I can't think of anything to do, I'm not their entertainer. I'm not their court jester. I knew I had a lot of stuff out there for them to do. We were out all the time. So it was okay that they have downtime. I used to say, oh, well, boredom's good for you sometimes. So you can just sit with your own thoughts. Next thing you know, they're reading a book. So yeah, I didn't try and cater to all that. I didn't try and fix all their problems all the time, Does it change with age, the toy rotation system? Not really. As they got older, I never put stuff away because they just knew how to keep everything clean and organized. And they get away from toys when they get older anyway. They tend to just want PlayStation and that kind of stuff. Okay, when my 3-year-old hits me, should I? No. Okay, what you do is you use the behavior board, which starts at the age of 3. That's free up in the link above. And you put down no hitting. That's his rule. His consequence is if he hits, he has to do a chore or do something, an act of kindness for you, something like that. If he won't do that, then the backup discipline or consequence is 24-hour media blackout or something like that. So you always start with a positive action consequence. If they won't do it, say, fine, then this is going to happen. So, and it's all up on the board. They understand that. And they get to the point where they understand that and they say, oh, okay, I get it. It was my choice. So they chose to have that consequence. It's not your fault. It's their fault. They will start to understand this. My kids were self-disciplining from about the age of 3.5. I didn't have to discipline them. They understood. I used to say to them, life's all about choices, kiddo. It's all up to you. If you're good, life is good. If you're bad, life ain't so good. I'll make sure of that because I'm your mom and that's my job. So they just learned. They just understood that it was all up to them. I don't want obedient little soldiers. I didn't want to tell them what to do all the time. I wanted them to make good choices. A leader inspires children to make good choices. I wrote something down that I thought was quite profound. Let me see if I can find it. I never write anything profound down, but I actually thought this was pretty good. Now I can't find it. Couldn't have been that great, could it? Oh, leaders bring out the best in people, including kids. So when you're a good leader, they like themselves and you bring out the best in them. They have high self-esteem, they have confidence, they have a voice, they'll tell you everything because you're a safe place to land. Leaders bring out the best in people, especially kids. They need, crave, and want a leader. If you don't provide leadership for your children, you're going to be sending very vulnerable, weak individuals out into the world. They're going to be very susceptible to peer pressure, bullying, the drug dealer on the corner, the internet, the Kardashians, whatever. They're going to be very vulnerable out there. If you're a leader at home, they're not vulnerable to anything. They run everything by you right through the teen years because they trust you. That's what a leader does. They trust you. Makes them feel safe. Oops, sorry. I'm new on Instagram, so I keep forgetting that I have to scroll it myself. So sorry about that. Okay. 2-year-old, how do you get a 2-year-old to play independently without you right there? It's just a stage they go through. What I did with my kids, my daughter was Velcro. My son from a very young age would play by himself. He was great at it. My daughter was the easier of the two because she never had tantrums or anything, but she wanted to be with mommy all the time. So what I would do is if she wanted me to be with her, if I was out somewhere and she wanted me to be with her, I'd pretend I couldn't find something. Okay, I'll be there in a minute. And then I'd just take a lot longer to get over there and she'd get bored and just start playing somewhere else. So I didn't feed into it right away. I didn't react to it right away. She got bored waiting for me and she ended up learning how to play on her own. Or if they're really little and it's at home, I would start playing with her. Shoot, I'll be right back. I have to go do some laundry. And then I would take forever to do the laundry. So yeah. Okay, a good question. And I've always got an answer. So 2.5-year-old son lashes out at 7-month-old. We have listened to advice you said about remove the fun and say no, don't know what to do when there is no fun. So what you do is you just pick up the little one, pick up the 7-month-old and just walk away with them. So you are removing what they were doing. So that is kind of the fun. So you just say no, and then you pick up the baby and just sort of wander off and do your chores. Don't run away from them. Just sort of wander off and do your chores. They will eventually learn. I won't go into it, but there's a lot of ways on how you get siblings to get along. That's too young though. You're in the thick of it. That's my least favorite client to get, is someone who has a toddler and a new baby. Do you know why? Because physically, there's only so much you can do. Your hands are tied. So I can't give you all the advice I want to because you're busy. It's physically draining. I don't want to give you too much. So I always have to hold back, and I'm not very good at that. So I always have to be really sensitive to the fact that you've got a lot on your plate, but it's temporary. It'll pass and you'll go, gee, where did that time go? Someone said on YouTube, can I ask you a question? You can ask, I'll try and get to it. YouTube, I back up all these lives on. I'm on here every day. I'm new on Instagram, but I'm on TikTok pretty much every day doing these lives. And now I'm new on Instagram, so I'm just starting to do more of these now too. Yes, you can ask me a question. You called me my dear. If you're calling me my dear, you probably can't ask me a question. I got a lot of those kind of things. Hello, my dear, be my princess. Yeah, delete. Okay. How'd you find the 5-year age gap? Okay, it wasn't by choice. When I gave birth to my son, I already had a fractured back and it just cracked it. So I had to have back surgery after my son was born. And then I miscarried multiples after that. So it wasn't by choice, but I thought it was great. There is no ideal thing. I was very good at, we did a lot of stuff together, the three of us. And so, yeah, they were quite close growing up, too. Now they have nothing in common. They're 5 years apart. One lives out in the suburbs. One lives downtown. It's very different, but they're a boy and a girl, too. So, but yeah, no, I liked it. What was great about it is because my son and I, we talked all the time. It was great. I loved it. I love mothering. Obviously, that's why I teach it. But then when my daughter was born, he started grade 1. So I had all that time with her. So I got a lot of individual time with each kid, bonding with them, which I loved. So yeah, consistent corrective action. Yeah, that's under the age of 3. You don't use the behavior board. You use consistent corrective action. So you pick a battle, pick a rule that you want to impose on them. Don't tell them the rule. They don't get it when they're under 3. And you just say no hitting. And then you take consistent corrective action. You remove yourself, remove them, remove the fun, take the toy away, whatever. There has to be a consistent corrective action. So the word is consistent, very important. Corrective, it's taking something away. And it has to be action, not words. One word, no, that's sufficient. Yeah, I wouldn't do any more than that. I know all these mini therapy sessions out there. It's so trendy right now. I saw that please your parents style coming 30 years ago, and I said, boy, are we in trouble. And we are. I said, they're going to be raising self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues, and I'll bet the drug problem will go up. And here we are, because no one's leading their children anymore with that style. The please your parent become dish rags. Their kids wipe their feet all over them, and they never respect them. And it's just a disaster. You're trying to please them all the time. You're trying to discuss all the big feelings, the big emotions. You're not guiding them into making good choices. You're just doing therapy all the time. And you're trying to pave the way. These participation awards, is that the stupidest thing you ever heard of? Participation for what? For turning up? But I want an award. You just got on a bus, lady. I mean, come on, it's ridiculous. Make them earn it. Anyway. Okay, I don't discuss siblings and I only discuss parenting. Someone on YouTube asked me about their sibling. I just don't discuss that. Oh, no, you're just being silly. There's kids on YouTube here. Just kids. Okay. Hi, thanks for going live. Yeah, I'm on here. I'm doing a live somewhere every single day. So yeah, who knows? I never know where I'm going to turn up. Except I do have regularly scheduled ones now. On TikTok, it's Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Vancouver time, Saturday morning at 10 a.m. That could change, but for now, I've been doing that for a couple months now. And I turn up every day anyway. And then here, it's Thursday nights at 5 p.m. Vancouver time. They're regularly scheduled lives. But the rest of them, I turn up when I can. So. Okay, how do I deal with the over-the-top tantrums when my 4-year-old doesn't get his way? Wait till he's 8, wait till he's 12, okay? If they're still having tantrums at 4, it means it's learned behavior because it's working. There must be a reward. Past the age of about 3.5 or 3 and 9 months, I always say, and 4, they only do what works. That says to me that tantrums are working. So do you give in? Do they just go so crazy you end up giving in? You might want to check out my course. I don't know your dynamic, what's going on there, so I can't give you any specific advice. I'd have to assess the situation. What's your history like with your child? Why are they still doing this? And how you deal with it from now on. But check out the boot camp course. That teaches you how to get respect in 5 weeks. And that kind of addresses your leadership. Remember, it's not about fixing kids. It's about fixing and teaching parents. You lead, they will follow. They desperately want a leader. Desperate. They're screaming for it. That's what a lot of those tantrums are all about. They're screaming for leadership. They're testing you. They're like, come on, are you going to lead me or not? I see that all the time. Okay. What do you do if your 8-year-old is constantly cussing and causing fights with it? Are you from the South? I always hear, I have a lot of clients from the South and they don't say swearing. They use the word cussing. Cussing and causing fights with other kids in the family and is very defiant of rules at home and school. Work on your leadership. That's a direct result. Their behavior is a direct result of your parenting. It just is. Up until about the age of 12. Then it starts to shift and change when they're teenagers. But that behavior, it just screams out, I need a leader. That's all that's screaming out to me. So work on yourself. Check out, you can use my behavior board, or you can buy the boot camp course. It's how to get respect in 5 weeks. That's about your leadership. It's not about the kids. It's about you. You set yourself up as a leader, and that just doesn't happen. They'd be embarrassed. It just, because they get a lot of pride in themselves and confidence, and their self-esteem skyrockets when they've got a leader as a parent. That's what you do for your children. When you're a leader, you make them feel good about themselves. You want them to like themselves and be proud of themselves. A child who's acting out like that is very low self-esteem, guaranteed, 100%. Self-esteem is in the toilet. Work on your leadership. Self-esteem will go up. Behavior goes up. It all just happens. Is it hard work? Yes. It's worth it? Yes. Yeah. Okay. 2-year-old's getting stubborn. I have a 10-month-old. What do I do to improve the behavior? Well, you don't really improve their behavior. You just set yourself up as a leader. Now, it's not going to kick in until they're about 3.5 before you really see great results. It's just because they're toddlers. They're just crazy. They just don't make any sense yet. So yeah, they are going to be a handful. They're going to keep trying stuff, but stay as calm as possible. And when you're disciplining, it's consistent corrective actions. They will soon learn you won't take any crap. The proof of this is our son had tantrums. He had a lot more with his dad, and they were a lot worse with his dad because he's learned at a very young age. Mom doesn't take any crap. Mom will never give in. Never. If he has a tantrum, he'll never get one. Even if I'm just going over to hand it to him, if he started having a tantrum, he wouldn't get that for the rest of the day. He learned that from a very young age. It's never going to work with mom. So yeah, they can start to learn, but it's a slow burn process. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take months probably before they catch on. It's just a physically demanding time. Toddlers are crazy, right? They're just going to try stuff. So yeah, it's a waiting game. Okay. Someone on YouTube asked how to deal with my 7-year-old son bedwetting. We haven't checked a doctor yet, planning to do so. Go to the doctor and they'll give you recommendations. Usually what they'll do is they'll tell you you can even get him up in the middle of the night to go pee in the middle of the night, and also do the stop and start. So when he's peeing during the day, tell him stop and start. Also, there is no shame in bedwetting. Lots of people do it. It's one of 2 reasons from what doctors have told me. It's a small bladder, or the connection between the bladder and the urethra is particularly short. I don't know if that's true. I'm not a doctor, but some doctor told me that once. So yeah, they have to learn how to strengthen their bladder muscles, and they learn it by stopping and starting while they're peeing. Hard to do. But anyway, so that I can't help you. I'm not a doctor, so I can't really help you with that. But yeah, don't put any shame in that. Never make them clean up their bed either. Never. You do that. It just becomes a real shameful thing if you make them clean up after themselves. There's no way, if my kids were bedwetting right through the teen years, I would clean it all up. I just would. I never want to attach any shame to that. I always would say something like this: well, it's just a physical problem. It's a health problem. It's not your fault. So I'm going to clean that up. Okay. Post question in question box. I don't know what I'm doing on here. I'm new on Instagram, so don't ask me anything technical about Instagram. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. What do you think about timeout as punishment? Well, anyone on TikTok will laugh because I get really heated whenever someone asks me about timeout. I hate timeout. I can't stand it. I think it's humiliating. Imagine if your boss said to you, hey, you made a mistake, go stand in the corner, nose to wall. You're not even worth talking to. Go, you think about what you did. It's humiliating. Kids feel the exact same way. I can't stand it. I think it's mean. I would never do it, never done it. So yeah, I hate it. Hate it. Number one tip to becoming your kid's leader. There's a few different tips in there. I would say be fun. Have fun with your kids. Really wallow in them and have fun with them. Find the joy in just spending time with them in their world, not yours. Also listening. Become a really good listener. And you listen to understand and show empathy. You never listen to gather information to lecture with or nag with. Good luck in the teen years. They'll shut you out. They won't tell you anything. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. By the time they're teenagers, they're going to know it anyway. So yeah, you just become a really good listener and find the joy with them. Focus on the good kid. You deal with bad behavior like that. It's like a business transaction. You just say, didn't like that. I'll tell you what we'll do. You help me empty the dishwasher tonight, okay? And then you go right back to having fun. You want to go to the park? So then you focus on the good kid. If you're interested in the pool story, I tell it every day somewhere. I do lives every day. If you're interested in the pool story, it completely explains leadership. If you've probably already heard it, I don't know. Anyway. If you're interested, just ask me. Is too young to potty train? It depends. No one can really answer that. I've known kids who were potty trained at 18 months. The thing is, they often still have accidents. I didn't want that. I thought I'm just going to be one and done. Just train them in a weekend and that's it. And that's what I did with my kids. I did mine at 2.5. And my daughter was probably ready at about 2, but I just dragged it out. I just thought, and they were in cloth diapers. So yeah, it was, as the bigger they got, the cloth filled up pretty quick. In Australia, where I raised my kids, they don't use flat cotton diapers. They use the cloth ones. They're like towels. They're terry. They're all like, fluffy and terry. And when you got a newborn, and it's the same size diaper, no matter how old they are, you just fold it differently. With a newborn, they're really tiny. When you put this cloth diaper on them, their bum's up in the air when you lie them down because it's so fat. It's really fun. And then their legs are hanging down the other end of the diaper. It was really funny. Oops, sorry. I'm new here on Instagram, so I'm not very good at scrolling through the questions on here yet. It's a little bit different from TikTok. Okay, sorry. Oh, shoot. Okay. 2-year-old who has significant tantrum about putting clothes on. Yeah. Natural consequence of no clothing, not an option with weather in Winnipeg. I wouldn't do that anyway. I would never let them win. That is letting them win, by the way. Near impossible to get out the door every day. Okay, so my mother was raised in Winnipeg during the Depression. They were freezing. She hated it because they had no heat. Anyway, so I know a little bit about Winnipeg just from all her stories. Anyway, yeah, you just wrestle them like an alligator and get the clothes on. There's no freaking way they would win. There's no way. Funny thing is that every toddler starts to roll on the change table when you're changing their diaper. And I remember I used to stand and watch my husband try and change our kids when they were doing that. I thought it was hilarious because they didn't do it with me. It was very rare that they would wrestle me because they knew it was going to go on like that no matter what. Whereas with their dad, he might let them stand. Okay, if you stand up for a minute, now I'll put it on. He was always letting them win. And they learn really quickly. Like when Monk, and sometimes I'd just say, move aside, I'll do it. And they just lay there like that. So, and they love a leader. They love that. So anyway, I got there. Yeah, just wrestle like an alligator. Make sure you win. If he wins that battle, he'll win lots more down the road. So yeah, I do not like that just let them go out and freeze, that kind of attitude. Not that drastic, but well, sure, it might be a little bit cold out, whatever, let them go out and be uncomfortable. No, once I've said you're getting your coat and your boots and all that on, you're getting them on one way or another. So just allow yourself some extra time to wrestle the alligator. That's all there is to it. If it isn't a medical issue, how do we deal with it? The bedwetting, you'd have to hire me for that, okay? Because I've got to understand your parenting style and what we could work with. So that's a coaching. If you want my help with that bedwetting at 7 years old and you've already got the medical help, you'd have to hire me for that. And still, there's no guarantees with that. It might take time. It's a slow burn kind of issue. It's not a lot of this is though, right? You got to invest in this, and it yeah, usually is a medical issue. But if it's an emotional issue, I can help with that. I don't fix kids though. I'm fixing and teaching parents here. I'm all about the parent-child relationship and about leadership and making your kids feel good about themselves. You focus on the good kid, bring it out in them. You bring out the best in your kids. That's what I teach. Bring out the best in your kids. That's what a leader does. You want them to be happy, have high self-esteem, and have a voice. If I messed up, my kids would say, "Mom, didn't you just mess up?" And I'd say, "Oh, shoot, what do you want?" So they'd say, "Oh, we'd really like to go to the water slide park." So I was accountable too. I'd say, "Cheryl, bring your suits after school. We'll go there." You got to give them a voice. You got to be accountable. Okay. 6-year-old, this is kind of funny actually. 6-year-old has suddenly decided to say no to everything and then asks why, what will happen. Then says the consequences aren't a big deal. Not sure how to react. She's got you wrapped around her little finger and she knows it. I don't answer that. I'd say, well, give it a go and we'll see. So put on the behavior board a battle that you won't want to win. You put down a rule, something that you want to focus on. 1 rule per week. Don't overdo it. It's not about getting everything in one day. I would if I went in, I deal with everything in the first day. But you're learning how to do all this because I already know how to be a leader. You're learning how to be a leader. 1 rule per week. So she's just got you wrapped. What will happen? Not sure how to react. Just say, well, try it and find out. That's what I would say. Oh boy, I would love it. I love it when kids challenge me. So what'll happen if I do that? And I'll say, well, give it a go and we'll find out, won't we? They usually go, oh, never mind. Like, try me. She's threatening you is what she's doing. Yeah. I love that. It's funny. Okay. Okay. What I have to do with my son, 4 years, he said to me, is too shy to talk in daycare. You don't talk nothing there with family is different. Okay, so he's all chatty, but when he goes out in the world, he's shy. He'll learn. He'll just learn. That's sort of a social skill. There's certain things that I use this technique with. One is social skills. One is bullying. Another one is, there's millions of them. Never mind. I won't go on. It's role playing. You role play at home and say, here's how you talk to other people. So you play him and he plays someone else. And then you show. You can say, if you ask someone else about themselves, they'll always answer. So teach them how to ask other people open-ended questions about themselves. So what's your favorite PlayStation game? What's your favorite this? Ask other kids stuff like that. Do you know when I was a kid, I've never had a shy second in my entire life. I'm not proud of it, but I just never have. Anyway, I remember when I was little, and a lot of shy kids often don't have friends, and this is why. I was always an extrovert, and I remember I never liked shy kids. Do you know why? I avoided them like the plague, because I just thought they weren't friendly, because I didn't understand if you're friendly, you talk. Like if you're fun, you talk, right? So to me, shyness was just a mean trait. I didn't like the shy kids, because I thought, well, they're not friendly at all, so why on earth would I want to be friends with them? So, but yeah, so anyway, but I understand, obviously I understand shyness now, but as a kid, that was my interpretation. So a lot of times shy kids don't have friends because how can you get a friend if you're not going to talk to them? So teach them how to talk, do role playing. By the way, the reason role playing is so important is it's one thing to tell kids what to do, but it's quite another to show them and to have them do it. And once they've done something, if they've acted it out, especially when we're dealing with bullies, we act that out with our kids, and then they've already done it at home, so that by the time they go out and they're face to face with a bully, it comes out easier how you deal with bullying. Do you want me to talk about that, how you deal with bullying? I will anyway, because it's such an important topic. I was in grade 2, and this is the only time in my whole life I was ever bullied. I've come up against bullies, but they've never had power over me. Anyway, I was in grade 2 and I had to go to the bathroom in the middle of class. So I had the hallway all to myself. I'm going back to class. It was like, woohoo, saw the grade 5 school bully coming down the other end of the hallway. And he was licking his chops. He saw me coming. He was a big, scary kid. He was the school bully. He was in grade 5. I'm in grade 2. And I couldn't get around him. I had to pass him to get back to my class. So my last name at the time was Hanky. So he comes up to me right in my face and he goes, "Hanky panky." And I said, "I prefer snot rag and boogie bundle." "Oh, well, got to get back to class." He never came near me again. Anyway, what I had done, this is what I teach, is you agree with the bully, use humor if possible. I was raised in a funny family, so humor was like something you had to do in our family to survive. So anyway, you agree with them, and then you use humor if possible, and then you divert, you redirect. So you give them an out. If you don't redirect, they might come at you again. So I'd agreed with him. I used humor. I made fun of myself. Like if they say, "You got a huge nose," I teach kids to say, "Yeah, the whole family does. We use them for umbrellas." Just use humor. Just come up with a whole bunch of stuff. And then say, "Oh, what kind of game do you like to play?" or something. Or "What have you got for lunch?" You redirect. So it works. If it's ongoing long-term bullying, probably won't work. That's a different thing. And if it's physical, I don't teach that either. I do, but I won't. Yeah. That's different. This is just when it's words. Okay. So I'm just going to look on my YouTube. So I'm just reading some YouTube quick. The thing with YouTube is when I'm doing these lives, I do live every day pretty much on TikTok, and they don't have very much room to put a question. YouTube, you can do like paragraphs and essays asking questions, so it takes a lot longer to read the questions. Is it okay? Oh my. Is it okay to make my child wear diapers to school as a punishment? No, no, no. We never shame with bodily functions ever. So yeah, if you want my help with that, I don't know what's going on. I haven't read all your comments. I don't know exactly what's going on. You might want to, if you want to hire me, you can do that. Don't just send me questions on email. I don't answer parenting questions on email. I don't have time. I'm here. This is where I do it. But yeah, you might want to hire me for that never. The only time I ever did anything like that, it was an older kid, and he was using pooping in his pants as a punishment for the parents. He would only poop in his pants if they gave him a gift every single day. So yeah, we packed up a diaper bag for him to take to school. And I was very careful how I set it all up, though, because I was no way that diaper bag was going to go to school. And he was a smart little kid. He was older, 5 or 6 years old. And that diaper bag made it to the car before he gave in and says, "Okay, I'll never do it again." And he never did. We had to call his bluff. It wasn't even a bluff. He did it anyway. He was pooping in his pants if he didn't he had to get a gift every single day. Okay. I didn't read the whole question because it scrolled and I got dizzy. But 2-year-old wrangling you when you're trying to change the diaper, just do what I did with my kids. They learned really quickly Mom was going to get that diaper on. They may as well not even fight me. I just put my arm across their chest and I changed them that way fast. They didn't think they just learned. They just ended up laying there. But when their dad changed them, they fought him a lot more because he wasn't as, when I did something, it was going to happen. The kids learned that really young. But I picked my battles. I knew I had to have the energy to do it. So, but yeah, it was just going to be put on. So it's just a temporary thing. They're not going to fight you forever. If you get good at this, if you ever let them get off that table before they're changed and give them a break, okay, you can play with your toy for 5 minutes and then you got to be changed. They're in charge. It's going to be harder and harder. I'm going to tell, no one's asked for it. I'm going to tell the pool story just because it's my favorite story to teach you how I treat children and how I think everyone should. A little bit of a bold statement, but anyway, that was a very bold statement. Anyway, it's called The Pool Story. I tell it every day somewhere when I'm doing a live. And okay, true story. My son was 8 years old. And we had a pool in the backyard. So for his birthday party, we had 5 little 8-year-old boys over. So there were 6 little boys in the pool. So it was just me watching the boys. So all I'm doing the whole time, I'm a safety nut. All I'm doing is counting heads the whole time. And also we made sure they were all swimmers. So anyway, it was just the way it was done. So we had this big blow up toy called Whaley. And I had taken him out of the pool. Now these are 8-year-olds, not 3-year-olds. And I didn't want to take out the air because we didn't have a foot pump. I just put him way off to the side. And I said to these 8-year-old boys, I said, Whaley does not go in the pool because I can't see behind him. So it's a safety issue. Okay. Sure enough, they go in the pool. One of the kids brought Whaley in the pool. So I said, Whaley out of the pool now. And he said to me, no. And my son went like this. because he knew mom knew how to take care of business. Fully clothed, I'm in the pool, had this kid out sitting beside me before he even knew what happened. And I said, you're going to sit there for 10 minutes. So now I'm counting 5 heads in the pool, and all I'm doing the whole time he's sitting there is I'm talking about his soccer playing, how well he did. I had worked with him on a test at school. I was always at school helping out, and how well he did on that. Then I'm asking him what PlayStation games he loves. He's talking about it. Beep, beep, 10 minutes is up. And I said, okay, go back in the pool and have fun. Couldn't get rid of him. He kept talking and talking and talking. I could not get rid of this kid. He was having a blast telling me all about himself and how wonderful he was, because I'm building him up, right? So anyway, finally, I'm looking at my son like, help, help, get rid of this kid. So finally, they had like basketball hoops set up in the pool. And he says, come on, we need 3 in each team. So finally, he went back in the pool. He was all over me for the rest of the day. Couldn't do enough for me. He was a handful. I used to work with him at school. I knew him. And he was wonderful. Can I help you with the cake? Oh, geez, he's like a leech. I couldn't get rid of him. Anyway, that is how you treat children when you're disciplining them. Do you get what I did there? I set a very standard rule that Whaley does not go in the pool. I'm very clear about it and why. So that was before anything even happened. I said it's a safety issue. I can't see behind Whaley. 3 kids could die behind Whaley. Trying to use a bit of humor. They loved all that. So anyway, and then when he did bring Whaley in the pool, I did not say, can you please get Whaley out of the pool like a loser? I just said, Whaley out of the pool now. It's a safety issue. He'd broken the rule and he was caught, it was dangerous. So then when he said no to me, I took action like that. I got him out of the pool, sat him down beside me, and I was very clear. I said, you're going to sit there for 10 minutes. Why would I not say why? Because he already knows. I don't drag him through the mud. I don't berate them for what they did wrong. It's already done. The discipline has been done. It's all over. He's sitting beside me for 10 minutes. It's done. Now, you never have a grudge. You're never angry. You're calm as anything. Now, I'm in friendship mentor mode. I'm in leadership mode. I'm bringing out the best in him. My goal is always to make kids like themselves, feel good about themselves, and have pride and high self-esteem when they're with me. That's always my goal. So I'm talking about everything I like about him, everything he does well, everything, building him up. Then when the 10 minutes is up, I didn't say, go back in the pool, but Whaley in. I would have erased all the good work I just did. What a nasty thing to do to a kid. I've just built him up. Now I'm going to knock him back down again. Like, it's awful. So I just said, okay, go back in the pool and have fun. And then I couldn't get rid of him. Anyway, the funny part, well, it's not funny. It's kind of sad. So hours later, finally, this kid was all over me. I couldn't even go to the bathroom. He said, Lisa, where are you? Jeez, he was all over me. Anyway, his mom came to pick him up, and you know what she said to him? Were you rotten as always? He kicked her in the shin, and off they went. No wonder why this kid's so miserable. Anyway, so that's it. That's how you treat them. You deal with the bad behavior, but then you focus on the good kid. Where you put your energy, where you put your focus is what grows. Okay? Why would he never be rude to me after that? And the rest of that day, anyway. Why would he not be rude to me? Because it would have been embarrassing. He liked himself when he was proud of himself. He looked up to me. I was like a mentor. And then every time I worked with him at school, he was already wound up and difficult. It took a second to get him leveled off again. But you see, that's what you do. You build them up. You bring out the best in them. That's what a leader's all about. You're bringing out the best in them. You don't want obedient little soldiers. That's the old-fashioned authority style parenting, which it's not horrible, but it's not great. It doesn't suit today. You want to bring out the best in them. To not discipline a child when they're being disrespectful or rude is doing them a disservice. It's kind of almost mean. You don't want your kids to be awful and everyone hates being around them. It's not nice. Okay, that is my favorite story. I've got a million stories, but the pool story is really about the leadership skill, about bringing out the best in kids and why it's so important. You don't want him to be good because he's afraid of the consequence. You want him to be good because he's proud of himself. You want him to make good choices because he likes himself. That's the gold. That's what it's all about. Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah, you're not going to like my answer at all here. Court tacker. I don't know what that means. A 20-month-old screams, happy, sad, angry. She screams. Yeah, that's a toddler, 20-month-old. They're just finding their voice and they are using it. I tend to sort of not snub, but sort of every time they scream, you sort of look away. And then when they stop screaming, then you might want to engage with them again. When they start screaming, you look away again. It's good luck with that. There's no easy way around that. They're just toddlers. They're just crazy. You know, whenever people hire me for coaching and they've got older kids, and toddlers, they never discuss the toddlers. Sometimes I'll say, just so I can tell you this, I'll say, so anything going on with your toddler? Oh no, they're just crazy. Like they've already lived through it. They understand. Toddlers are brand new, fresh human beings. They're just forming. Don't try and make sense out of them. They're not figure outable. They've got one marble and some tumbleweed floating around in there. They're brand new. Imagine if you've only been in the world for 2 years and for the first year you were a potato laying on a mattress. How much context and reasoning could you really have? People expect way too much. These mini therapy sessions discussing feelings and emotions with toddlers, what a bunch of garbage. God, it's stupid. It's really frustrating for me to see that ignorance out there. I know it's trendy, but it's just so stupid. I've been doing this for so long now. I saw that coming in and I thought, geez, no one's ever going to do that. And people are following it. It's because it's feeding the mom's needs. It's making the mom feel good. Let's discuss your big feelings and your big emotions. This is just garbage. It's frustrating. Okay. How do you wean a 2-year-old off a pacifier? I did this with my son when he was 18 months old. And I waited till we were living in Australia. I waited till we did the big trip overseas to Canada, visiting my family. And then we got home because I didn't want to wean him off the pacifier for a 24-hour flight. Anyway, so we get home the next day, jet lagged, and I thought, that's it, I'm doing it. So I had him help me. We put all of his pacifiers in a little baggie because I said, you're a big boy now. He didn't really understand, but anyway, you're a big boy now, and he's just following along. So anyway, he holds the baggie with the pacifiers. I go take him outside, carrying him, open up the big wheelie bin, and I said, okay, you drop them in, and bye-bye, they're all gone. And then I thought, boy, I am in for it. I was dreading it. And normally he did have tantrums. So I thought he had tantrums. My daughter didn't. They're either born to have them or they don't. So I thought, oh, I am in big trouble. He not once, not ever asked for a pacifier. He every so often would go like this, and then he'd look over at me and I'd instantly look away. I didn't want to get eye contact when he was thinking about his dummies, right? So I'd look away. Not once did he ask for them. Was I surprised that it went that well? Yeah. So, but anyway, but he knew. He was 1.5. He kind of was getting the gist that when mom said something, it was going to happen. Like he just kind of, that's why I would never have had his dad do that. His dad was a great dad, but he was the pleaser. I was the leader. There's usually one of each, or there's always a very dominant leader in the family, and that was me. So I didn't get his dad to do it because he would have got dad. He knew that dad would have gone, you know, butt up in the air, getting those pacifiers out of the garbage bin just to shut them up. So mom would never do that. I'm willing to go through the storm to get to the rainbow. Most people just want the rainbow, so they avoid the storm. I don't worry about scenes, tantrums, fits, because that's my opportunity to exercise my leadership. So yeah, I let them happen. I never try and avoid that because that's their learning process. Okay. We have an 8-year-old who does that pooping thing. He's been sent to school with a change of clothes and doesn't get embarrassed and doesn't care. It's amazingly common. You wouldn't think so. Other parents are horrified by this. And I'm like, yeah, I've heard that before. You'd have to work with me. That's not something, it's not a quick live answer kind of thing. I'd have to assess what kind of parent you are. When did this start? How often does it happen? Who cleans it up? How do you talk about it? So I'd have to, that would be at least 3 sessions, probably 3 might do that. But yeah, check out the coaching above if you're interested. It's all done on Zoom if you're interested. But yeah, that's not a quick answer here. In my old parenting class, the teacher said that toddlers are like mini cavemen. Well, yeah, they're really Neanderthals, really, aren't they? Is that the same as a caveman? I don't know my history, but yeah, it's a good one. Toddlers are drunk little people. Yeah. At what age do you introduce corrective actions? Around 16 months. Before that, you're starting to sort of do it. But yeah, and even then, it's a very gentle thing. You're always very calm when you're disciplining children. It's like a business transaction. You remove all emotions when you're disciplining, all of them. And I get very quiet and I talk very slow when I'm disciplining. Didn't like that. And don't talk like this to a toddler, by the way. I would just say no, and then I take action. But when they're little, really little, I go like this. I might hold their hands if they've done something, and I say no, and then I let go and just sort of walk away. And then no. You never want your no to make a baby cry. Does that make sense? You want them to go like this, and they're trying to figure it out. You never want your no to make a baby cry. It's okay with a toddler because they're learning they're not going to get what they want when they want and how they want it. But when they're babies, you never want to make a baby cry by saying no or yelling. Never. because that it scares them. You don't want to scare them. But if they're having a fit just because they're 2 years old and then you just took their remote control away because they shouldn't have had it in the first place and they knew it and they cry, that's okay. That's their own process, learning that they don't get what they want when they want and how they want it. Okay. How do you stop? This is a tough one. Sugar. I lost it. Okay, so I'm new on Instagram, so excuse me here. Okay, here we go. How do you stop a child that's 8 from breaking others' property? Oh, sugar. It doesn't hold. Sorry, I'm not used to Instagram. My son, Conan, I'm trying to move it around so it won't, it keeps dropping. He broke his teacher's laptop on purpose right in front of her and he just did it. Okay, you have to hire me for that. You don't have to hire me, but if you want my help, you have to hire me. That kid needs a leader bad. If you don't want to hire me for coaching, check out my boot camp course. It teaches you how to set yourself up as a leader. That is happening because you're not a leader, unless something really weird is happening other than that. But yeah, he needs some work there. You need to set yourself up as a leader. So yeah. Yeah, you're still talking about the poopy pants stuff. Yeah, it's a tricky one because you never want to shame them. I actually don't let kids clean themselves up. I always take charge of that. Um, there's a reason for that. Whether I don't know if a lot of stuff I say, this is the way it is, and like I hate timeout, I hate the mini therapy sessions. But when it comes to cleaning up kids who are older and have accidents in their pants, I still want to help them clean up. Whether or not that's right, I'm not 100% sure, but there's something about it. I don't want them to feel any shame. Yeah. How can I have more patience for my toddler and why he says no? He says no because it gets a reaction usually. They keep doing what works and they keep doing it for your reaction. How can I have more patience? I can't really help you with that. Like what I mean by that is it's like if you go to Weight Watchers and I give you let's say I'm running a weight loss clinic and I give you a diet and you say, well, how do I not want to eat ice cream and potato chips? I can't help you with that. Like that's your own battle. It's your own battle to overcome that, to know that yeah, you learn patience by being a leader. Once you are a leader, you never, like I never yelled. I was never yelled at, and I never yelled because I didn't have to. I knew what else to do. You only yell, you only lose your patience because you don't know what to do. Just educate yourself on kids and what they're all about, and then you won't have to yell. You won't have to lose your patience. So it's hard. I mean, I made a living out of this. I started volunteering in daycare centers 52 years ago. I was 11 years, I'm 63 now. I was 11 years old and I started volunteering in daycare centers. Who does that? Like, that's weird. And the daycare ladies even used to ask me, how do you do that? They all want to be with you. You're fun, but they toe the line with you. They respect you. I didn't know how to answer that, but now I do. I was a leader. I was fun. I lead with fun, but I don't take any crap either. They learn that. They just figure that out really quickly. Times change, but people don't. It's all the same stuff. When I was first started my business 17 years ago, I never used a behavior board, and that's my number one teaching tool is my behavior board, and because you're on it too, that's what makes it work. But I didn't have one. The first year I was coaching, I was teaching what I did, but I was just maintaining respect. So I didn't understand how to get it. Like I didn't, because I always had just got it. So anyway, finally a year after, and people were getting results, but it was nowhere near what I thought they should. And then I invented the behavior board. And I put the parents on it too. You have to have a rule and a consequence too. If you're not accountable, none of this works. You're not a leader. You're an authority. That's the old fashioned my way or the highway. I'm not accountable, but a leader is accountable for their own actions. And everything changed in my business right after that. Everyone started to get it. It's that behavior board teaches you how to be a leader because you have to be accountable. Okay. I'm in the consistent corrective action toddler phase, scared for the next phase. They seem so much harder. Any advice for the next phase is the easy one. If you're already learning how to be a leader in the little phase, by the time they're 3 years old, if this is the tell, at 3 years old, they stop and think. If you're not a leader, they go like this, wait a minute. You're not in charge. I think I will be. A lot of them find their power. Some kids are not feisty and they never do that, but a feisty one will rationalize that. They won't be able to say it in that language, but they're going to figure out, hey, wait a minute, I got some power here. So, but if you've already sort of been in charge, sort of learning your leadership skills by consistent corrective action, 3 years old is when it gets easy. because they can start to understand consequences. That's when the behavior board starts. That's when they can stop and think before they act. And they'll make good choices because they know you're a leader. Like I used to say to my kids all the time, if you're good, life is good. If you're bad, life ain't so good. I'll make sure of it because I'm your mom and that's my job. So in other words, there's going to be a consequence. It's your choice. And you know what? If they ever messed up, which was actually really rare, and if they ever messed up, they would apologize to me. And they'd say, oh, sorry, mom. Sorry, I kept you waiting. Sorry, I forgot to make my bed. How about no TV tonight? I said, that's too much. Just brush my hair for 5 minutes. Something like that. So they were really self-disciplined at a very young age. They understood it was all their choice. And they had a lot of pride and confidence. My son was in grade 2 and his teacher called me on her lunch hour to tell me this. She thought it was so cute. She said, Lisa, you won't believe this. She said to my son, he's in grade 2. She goes, why are you so nice? And he looked up at her like, he said, mommy makes us be nice. Like he had no choice in the matter. Darn rights, that's my job. My job is to raise nice kids. And he was confident. They were really confident kids. It's funny because I always sort of think of them, like the way I talk about them and that, I guess I'd sort of change my memory of what they were like. They were just super easy, never said much. They were loud. My daughter got married over the summer. My ex-husband said, let's pull out some home movies because we were just here waiting before the wedding, just him and I and our daughter. And we looked at these home movies. Our kids were loud. They were up themselves. They were confident, but they were super nice. They were just easy kids, but they were loud and confident. So that's what you want. You want them to have a voice, but you don't want any disrespect, right? You want loud, confident kids with high self-esteem. You don't want obedient little quiet soldiers. Yeah, I was quite shocked when I was looking at the video. I thought, oh, I didn't remember that. Like they were really up themselves. But very respectful. That's what you want. Confidence, but have nice kids. Okay. How to be the primary leader. My mother-in-law is very helpful, but I feel there is competition there. Yeah, just say to her, look, this is how I'm parenting. And please don't override my parenting because it hurts my feelings. Always, rather than say what they're doing wrong, say how it makes you feel, your feelings. So yeah, good luck with that. I'll be a mother-in-law soon. No, I'm a mother-in-law. My daughter got married, my son's girlfriend. They've both been together for 10 years with their partners. And they're expecting my son is expecting a little girl, their very first child, my first grandchild. So I get a lot of questions. My clients say to me, well, what kind of are you going to tell your son how to parent? Now, why would I do that? It's none of my business. I never tell my kids what to do. I never interfere. Never. My mother never did. It's none of my business. I just sit back and watch the show. It's their life. They're 33 and 28 years old. It's none of my business what they do. But yeah, as a mother-in-law, I never say a word. And I don't care. Like I'm not judging. It's none of my business. Just because I maybe would do things a little bit differently doesn't mean I'm right about everything. And with parenting, I'll just sit back and watch the show. They know how they were parented. They used to say they're going to parent the same way that I did, but we'll see. They're going to have their own style. Maybe they'll be better at some things. Sorry about that. I don't think they're listening. It's just, I had so much experience with kids before I had my own. It was so easy for me, but they don't have all that experience base. Okay. This is a really good question. I'm glad you asked that. Actually, this will be my last one because I've been on here for an hour now. Sorry, I'm new on Instagram here. Just a sec. I can't hold on to the comment. If I say no to my 5-year-old, he keeps asking over and over again, how do I respond? Example, can I have candy? No, then he'll just keep asking and talking about it. Okay, he's 5 years old. Keep that in mind. I probably wouldn't do this as easily with a 3-year-old. 5 years old, he says, can I please have some candy? I would say, no, not right now. And then he says, please, please. I'd say, I'll tell you what. This is how I would say that. If he kept asking, I'd say, you keep asking. Not only will you not get any candy, but there'll be no TV tonight or no screens tonight. And then I would say, do you understand? And then leave it up to him. Yeah, but I just want candy. Okay, that's no screens tonight. That was your choice. And then just follow through. No way I would put up with that. No way. No way. Not for a 5-year-old. 2-year-old, yeah, 5-year-old. Plus, why are they asking for candy? And I'll tell you why. No, why I'm asking this. That I'm a real health food nut, and I'm not saying you have to be like this, but we had no junk food in the house at all. And I used to say to my kids, if you ever want a treat, if we were out, if you ask, you get nothing. Because that's not a treat. That's me filling a demand of yours. It's not a treat if I'm just filling a demand. If you ask for it, you get nothing. So they learned, and every so often I would get them a chocolate bar or something, but we never had anything in the house. So to them, that was a real special treat to get sugar, was just something we didn't have. So like we didn't have any potato chips or, you know what I mean? There was no junk food in our house. So, but if they ever asked for a treat, I'd say, well, now you're not getting it. But, but you can't just start with that. My kids knew from a really young age, you ask, you get nothing, because that's not a treat. Okay, I got to go. Thanks so much for watching. If you look in the link above, you'll see everything I've got in my business. You can start with my free behavior board, mini toddler courses. There are 4 of them now: bedtime, tantrum, aggressiveness, potty training. And then I've got my big course, which is my boot camp. It teaches you how to be a leader in 5 weeks. It goes from 3 to 12 years old. And then the next level up is coaching one-on-one with me. And that is all done on Zoom. So it doesn't matter where in the world you live. It's usually like about 1 hour a week. Anyway, I have to go. And thanks so much for joining me. I'm new on Instagram. I'm just sort of building on here. And then I'm also on TikTok and YouTube. And all of these lives are saved on YouTube. So anyway, thanks so much. And we'll talk again soon. Bye now.